For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson. Recently, comedian Flame Monroe has been on the road with Dave Chappelle and Tiffany Haddish. For decades, Flame has entertained audiences through laughter, and all the hard work has paid off in arenas across the country. Today, we have the very own Flame Monroe joining us on the show to talk about career and all the upcoming projects you got going on, Flame! Yeah, we gotta clap it up in studio.
Oh. Thank you guys.
We got Flame Monroe.
Y'all made me feel so special. I feel like a girl. Thank you.
How are you?
I am in a place of joy and happiness and freedom, and I just want to say thank you, Jesus, and thank you to Dave Chappelle and Tiffany Haddish for seeing me and embracing me. It is a great place to be.
Absolutely. Now, this is our first time, I think, meeting in person. We've
Absolutely.
talked
But you know,
online
I'm a
and
big
stuff,
fan of yours.
And I'm a huge fan of yours. Like, I've always loved just you being able to speak out, say what you feel, and stand 10 toes on it.
Thank you. Well, I only got 9 toes. One of them got cut off. Wait.
And of course, making people laugh all along the way. But so you're making history. You're on tour with not only Dave Chappelle, but also Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah.
How has that been?
You know what, Symphony, thank you for asking me that, but I don't think I've sat down in it to think about it, because if I do, then I'll be like, oh my God, I'm just doing it. Yeah. It's a job, you know? I get 15 minutes with Dave, I'm the opener. I get 20 minutes with Tiffany or 25 minutes with Tiffany. So I always look at it like, I'm just doing my job. Yeah. Because if I think about the magnitude of what it really is, it will probably overwhelm me. So, and with Dave, let me tell y'all a secret. So last week we were in Charlotte and I went 6 minutes over.
Ooh, okay.
Not on purpose, but I was killing that shit. And so I went in the back and I knew I was going to be in trouble, because I was like, you don't disrespect the time. And I never have. So I went to apologize to Dave. He says, Flame, don't do it again. And the only reason I didn't stop you, because you was killing it,
yes.
Because getting in an arena, it is in the round with 20,000 sets of eyes watching you. You really have to learn how to grasp the whole magnitude of it, because you find yourself yelling or trying to scream to the people in the bleachers and when you got a microphone and they got your fat ass on a jumbotron, but you have to get accustomed to that. So I finally got it maybe show 3. Yeah. Because I think I'm on like show 7 or 8, because I'm not on all the dates, but I'm on quite a few of them. And now I'm just like, I didn't come to see them. Yeah. They came to see me. Absolutely. Even though my name ain't on nothing, I appreciate Dave Chappelle and Tiffany Haddish, because Dave is the Beyonce of comedy. He is selling out arenas. Yeah. And me and Tiffany are doing 3,000 to 8,000 seat arenas, theaters, and it is great. Yeah. It is really great. It's great. Look at that. It's great.
It is. No, I love it. I love the smile and energy that I feel from it. Now, let's talk about Dave Chappelle a little bit, because you talk about those arenas and those numbers. Yeah. How did y'all link up to make this happen?
So, this goes back, maybe a year or so, 2 years, when Dave came under fire for The Closer. Yeah. And so I had watched The Closer, and I'm a comedian, so I appreciate other comedians' comedy, whether it can be a little abrasive or not. So when all the backlash started happening, I wasn't going to say anything. So Jamie Masada, the owner of the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, said, Flame, you should make a video, because it really is speaking to you. Dave is black. Dave is a comedian. He's talking about the trans community. So I watched it again, because I wanted to hear the disrespect. I wanted to hear what did he say that was so, So I watched it again, and then I took an edible and I watched it again. Because, sometimes when you take an edible, it shows you things that you didn't see with regular eyes. And I never heard. What I heard, though, Symphony, was a man who said his friend, a trans person who they say he hated, he referred to her as his friend. Then he referred to her as her. Mm-hmm. I'm like, so y'all didn't hear that? Y'all only heard tranny, but you didn't hear friend, her, and he set up a trust fund for her family and woo. Yes. So when I made the video, I was like, I didn't hear that. I didn't, because I wasn't looking for the negative. I'm a person I'm going to look for the positive. The negative will show up, but then it's how you address it. Mm-hmm. That, even with Chris Rock and Will Smith, that was negative, but Chris Rock addressed it in a whole different way. Yeah. Those were two powerful men that went 2 different directions.
Now, we cover that when that was going on, and I do remember your remarks to it, and now seeing you on tour with Dave, I can't help but to think that people would probably have something to say negative about you, whether it's like, God. Oh, you're a traitor, how can you
the word
hear
is
this?
Pick me. It's called pick me. They call me the pick me queen. Yes, he did pick me, and I pick up them chicks every show. Anyway,
I was gonna ask, how do you?
So Don Lemon called me. I did CNN, and they were trying to him and Pamela Brown. They were trying to get me to, I guess, change what I had said or my dialect of how I felt about Dave. And I had never met Dave to this point. I had never spoken with Dave or any of that. But as a comedian, don't censor me. I say some ridiculous things on the microphone that's funny, that will make you think. So does Dave. Yeah. I want to be free. That is the freest place that I am when I am sitting my fat ass on a stool with a microphone in my hand and people listening to everything that I have to say, waiting on the punchline. That is a powerful place for any comedian, especially when you kill it. Yeah. And so he called me.
Dave?
Dave called me. So I was on the toilet. I was peeing. You know, I sit down and pee. But this is the truest shit I can ever tell y'all. Oh, excuse my French.
No, I'll let it out.
So I'm sitting on the toilet peeing because at that moment I was a girl. And I answered the phone. I didn't look at it. You know, you look at the phone. I just said, hello. And he says, hello, can I speak to Flame? You know that voice of his. And I was like, who is this? He says, this is Dave. I said, I don't know nobody named Dave. So I picked up the phone and looked at it and it said Ohio. And I said, Dave who? He says, is this Flame Monroe? I said, this is Flame Monroe. He says, this is like Dave Chappelle. So I was like, you liar, stop playing on my damn phone. And he says, Flame, could you shut up for a minute and let me talk? I said, well, wait a minute. He says, I promised myself that the first time that I ever spoke with you, I wanted to tell you something. So I'm like, oh my God, he's going to tear me up. He says, I wanted to tell you, thank you. And it was so heartfelt symphony that I felt the vibes through the phone because he heard me. Yeah. And I wasn't doing that to try to get on tour with Dave. I had never even met Dave. I appreciate it, but it was just how I felt. And girl, the backlash came like a avalanche. I lost about 20 gigs behind that for setting up a Dave.
Really?
Still to today from the LGBT community. I lost a job that I wanted on TV. I wanted to, Sherry Shepherd asked me before she got the Sherry Shepherd show to do Hot Topics with her every day. But when she took my name to the boardroom, they had a meltdown. Debmar Mercury had a meltdown because of my stance. They said I wasn't part of the movement. I'm transphobic. 34 years as a trans woman, but I'm transphobic.
How does that make you feel, though, to know that you're standing on something that you feel you're a part of the trans community, so to be getting that type of backlash where now you're losing money?
I'm making it back.
Oh.
Way better. But it's not going to change how I feel of who I am. What I am is a trans woman. Mm-hmm. My blueprint is you, a biological woman. I learned how to be a woman even without knowing that I was studying my mother, my grandmothers, my aunties, my sisters, my best friends. Because as a young gay boy, I don't care what nationality you identify as a young gay boy, usually your best friend that you tell your first secret to, which is the biggest secret of your life, is a biological girl. Yeah. So if my girlfriend said, my real name is Marcus. So I had a girlfriend named Tracy. She said, oh, Marcus, I like David. I say, Tracy, can I tell you a secret? I like David too. So I've come out to the closest person to me because I couldn't even tell my mother this or my father this. I told my best friend. But then when I got so comfortable with my trans or my gay, I'm better than her? Absolutely not. Right. The same thing that makes you powerful as a biological woman is the exact opposite that makes me powerful as a trans woman. And Dwight Howard, hey boo.
So, you mentioned Dwight Howard, so I want to dive in that because that's another thing where you have Dwight Howard. Obviously, he's been private in what goes on in his private life, but now this situation comes to light. He's like, hey, I'm not denying anything, but it did not happen in the way that it's saying. How do you feel about when you see things in stories like that?
I love that he spoke on it and stood on it. Yeah. I admire that. Whatever he's doing, that's his business. Here's the killer. Why are you concerned about who I'm sleeping with unless you're trying to sleep with me? Right. That is the only. So hats off to Dwight Howard for standing his ground and telling them to kiss his dick in the face. By the way, I'm into that. But because that's what people need to do. Everybody is so weak and so scary and so, oh, they're going to say this. Stand on who you are. Believe in who you are. Trust yourself. It will pan out in the end. It will get foggy for a minute, but lean on God. God will move that fog and he will make your enemies your footstool. If you don't believe me, look at my feet. They standing at it. Ha!
So why do you think that is? Because I agree. I think if what you do, whether you're a comedian, a sports analyst, if you play sports, whatever, what you do behind closed doors has nothing to do with you getting the job done.
Unless
why do you think people are so
obsessed
with what you do behind closed doors, who you're sleeping with?
The celebrity, the times that we're in, the internet, of course. You know, everything is public. Here's the killer. All these celebrities want to live private lives, but write and tell-all books. You got to make a choice on what you want. Do you want people to know or do you not want people to know? Dwight wasn't trying to tell nothing. And if he was paying for the services that you gave, let me break it down to y'all as an old hoe. You cannot be letting me and call you a hoe because a hoe don't work without a willing trick. And a willing trick don't work without a willing hoe. life is a trade-off. You will never get everything you want, but you can get almost everything you want.
I knew when you came.
And that came from the original he, she, we. That's saying he cash the check, she make the money, we spend it. You see that? One girl, inclusion. Let's go.
Let's talk about that, because that's another thing too. When we talk about like pronouns, people are getting upset about that. And then I want to move on to a couple hot takes that's been happening.
Okay.
But what made you go with he, she, we? Because again, you know, we're in this space where people are learning about different pronouns, what to address people as. What made you choose he, she, we?
Well, I just thought it was appropriate because I know who I am. I am a father of 3 children, you know, and sometimes I play the girl. You know, well, not in that capacity, but sometimes I play the girl. And I dress up as a woman for work because what my fan base is 60% women.
Yeah.
But my new fan base is straight men who have allowed to see that, oh, this just somebody who taking care of their kids. Yeah. This is my job. This is my uniform. We all have a uniform when we go to work. This is my uniform. But I'm still a trans woman because being a trans woman ain't I put a wig on or some fingernails. It's in here.
Absolutely.
It's in my spirit. It's in my mind. I know who I am. And so many people are lost. When I'm standing on stage and I'm that beautiful woman, I own that girl. When I'm digging in a hole of my choice, I own that player.
Yeah.
That is what's wrong. People are not owning themselves. They worry about what somebody else telling them. You're this or you that, you this. He, she, we was just a great synopsis for me because the man in me been pimping the woman in me for 2 months. The man don't make no money, but these girls here is a nightmare. So it's he cash the check because they come in Marcus Parker. She make the money, they Flame Monroe, and we together spend it. So it was just a great analogy, and it just caught on, and I own that, by the way. So before y'all start using it, I copyrighted that. It would cost me $9,000 too.
As you should, though. I love it. And also the thing I love about you, Flame, is like you're not just one thing. Like,
oh my God.
The things that I see, whether, you know, we've had conversations or just seeing, how do you keep that balance of not falling into, because even when we have conversations, it's like, I know you're not. I know it's not just these type of conversations.
Oh, no.
How do you find that balance?
Well, I live in the real world. And I think being a parent and having children, because I was part of the PTA, so I had to meet other people with their children. And, you know, your child is your greatest joy. That is your most precious thing. So it was something to have to get over hurdles because we've always lived in affluent neighborhoods in Long Beach, California, because I wanted my kids to get the best education system when I had the money to pay for private schools at the time.
Yeah.
The PTA makes a great school. So I had to get past all of these parents and Caucasian and high-end aristocrats because their kids became friends with my kids, but then they wanted to come to my house and then they had to meet me.
Right.
You have to break down that fear or whatever people think, or you live a different lifestyle, or you a monster, to let them see, baby, I'm comfortable.
Right.
Your kid have a great time here. And these were all well-to-do kids, but they wanted to hang out at our house. And we didn't have a bad house, but we surely didn't live like they live. They got nannies and everything. But I made it chill. Listen, I had a lady call me and tell me that her son was vegan and he didn't eat spices. I said, well, girl, he just ate 12 chicken wings with Louisiana hot sauce. It's something that he needs to tell you. A lot of these parents don't even know their children. Yeah. But they were so comfortable with Mr. Flame, and I was comfortable with them calling me that because I know who I am.
Yeah.
And these are children. When it comes to kids, that's an excusatory time. Just like when kids come out to their parents. The problem I have with the new trends that's coming out, they come out and they identify as this or what have you, and then they want to have a meltdown because the parent or the family member or the friend calls them by the gender that they're used to calling them by. It just like it took you time to tell them, it takes them time to get used to that. But we don't have time because the internet wants instant gratification right there. I want it right here and right now. I got 300 likes. I got 1 million likes of who don't like me. But I got a bank account to tell y'all to kiss my D in the face.
No, and I think that's a great way to put it.
I'm in the mood today, baby. Let's go, Symphony. Where we going?
Okay, well, let's take it to the next topic. So I want to hit a couple of hot takes that's been happening in the news. I want to stay in the space with kids, especially sports. We brought up Dwight Howard,
my God, yeah.
But trans in sports, and I want to transition out of of this and go to a couple of things that are happening in the comedic space. But let's go trans in sports. That's a big conversation about, you know, transgender men or women playing in women's sports or men's sports. What's your take on that? Because that's been a big one as well.
Yes, it is a big one. Girl, my mind was somewhere else.
I can do this.
Come on, Symphony, pop your man. I'm going to take my stance and say that a woman is the blueprint for me.
Right.
And Acceptance is a blueprint that starts with yourself. Everybody keeps looking for acceptance from somebody else. I will never change my philosophy on how about that. I do not think that it is fair for trans women to compete against biological women. I will stand on that till God come and get me, because it is just not fair. Here is the thing, create a lane. We wouldn't even have to have this conversation.
Yeah.
When the Special Needs Olympics, when Special Needs wanted to compete, they created a lane. Paraplegics, they got people with one arm and one leg that lost their limbs in the military fighting for this country, but they created a lane. The women wanted to compete on a professional level for basketball, they created the WNBA. Create a lane for trans sports and the conversation will be done. Because you're not going to tell me like the story I saw a couple of weeks ago, a little 16-year-old boy in Maine or somewhere was number 172 as a boy and decided the next day that he wanted to transition and identify as a girl, and he was number 4 in that region after my daughter has trained, fought, put in her blood, sweat, tears, and years to be in this position, and then you're going to let this inadequate boy, is exactly what I call him, who wants to now be an inadequate girl, be better than the biological girls? Miss me with that. I'm from Chicago, West Side. It will never fly with me. I stand on that.
Yeah.
Just like the swimmer.
Exactly.
You were a horrible swimmer with the men.
Yep.
To me, step your game up. Get better. You should get better, not cross over to be something else to be better than them. That's not fair.
No, I agree, because I ran track and I could not imagine somebody stronger, just biologically stronger than me. And I've been, like you said, I've trained hard, I'm working hard, blood, sweat, and tears, literally. And then all that work just kind of goes out of the window because biologically you just have different.
Y'all ain't finna like me for this one. I'm on tour with Dave Chappelle, Tiffany Haddish. So, here's the killer for me. With all of that going on, Symphony, I think that if the parents pull their children out, when they decide to put in trans athletes and let them compete, we gonna sit this one out.
Yeah.
If we bond together, if the women stood together, and I'm not against my trans sisters, I'm against ridiculousness. Right. I'm not a ridiculous person. My logic is very clear and concise. I don't care what I identify as. I'm an American. I'm very smart. If the women and the people pull out the competition and then that's all they have, people will stop attending or they will create a lane. Yeah. You're going to have to force them to create a lane and stop pushing this agenda, because I don't like the trans agenda that they're pushing. When I was a kid, which was a long time ago, we had tomboys that I loved, because tomboys was like the police. They served and protected. Nobody believed that the tomboys was putting out. All the tomboys put out. But nobody told them that they were trans. So many tomboys played sports and grew up to get married to husbands and have children and live very productive lives. The effeminate boys that, oh, he ain't like that, he just got feminine ways. But they were never gay. They grew up and got married and had kids. Nobody forced them to tell them, oh, you're automatically trans. It is so out of control, and we're losing. Yeah. Because we won't stand together. And I'm not against my community. I love my community, but I'm not for bullshit.
I mean, that's the same thing, even when we're talking about heterosexual women, I love them, but if you say something crazy, it's like, if I don't agree, I don't agree.
And that's the problem. Nobody can have an opinion anymore. I can't disagree with you. I'm automatically canceled. You can't cancel me. The flame is eternal. Have you not been to D.C.? It burns through the rain. Come
on. All right, let's move along. All right, I want to go to the next one. So we actually broke a story, and this is actually going to go into the comedy space. We broke a story. I don't know if you saw this. Aries Spears was attempted to be attacked. I don't think they actually reached Aries Spears.
Who?
Okay, well, we're just going to talk about attack. Because I'm not... Let's talk about being attacked, because it made us think about, and of course we added in, Chappelle was also attempted to be attacked on stage as well. And being that you're on tour with him, my mind always wondered, because we were talking about, what's the solution? How do we prevent comedians from being so vulnerable? Because that space, unless you're in an arena on a stage that's kind of higher up, in the comedy clubs, there is no space. Most times, I've been to comedy clubs and my table is right on the stage. What is the solution so we aren't continuing to see that continue to rise? Because I feel like internet, people feel like, they're bigger than they are.
Someone actually physically tried to attack the other guy? Not Dave, the first guy you mentioned.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. I hadn't seen that because I've been so busy working. I don't know, what to say about that, because I'm vulnerable too. I'm on stage and my sight is not the greatest, and I keep my shades on so I might not see you until you hit me. But I'm from the west side of Chicago. You better knock me out. Yeah. You better knock me out on the one-hitter quitter like DC Young Fly did that guy.
He did. He did.
Because if you don't, the wig come off and the show will change. Believe me, if you offend her, he defends her. That's all she, we.
Yeah. So what do you think comedians can do to?
This is going.
Or is there anything?
I don't think there's anything. That the clubs will have to beef up security for certain comedians or for all comedians at the stage because, like I said earlier, that is the freest place for a comedian to be. Yep. On a stage with a willing audience, especially when you got them. It's a high that you will never get from any drug because that is what you do. Yeah. If I don't understand why some people come to comedy clubs already salty, already in a sour mood, already angry. You see the black clubs, and I said the black clubs, come, cross their arms, everybody, you come in mad sour.
Like, make me laugh.
5 people at the table, and they bring 6 checks. Oh, you had extra ice that year. I hate separate checks. God, do I hate separate checks. White club, they come in, put the American Express down, let's go.
Yeah.
And that's not all black clubs or white clubs, but why would you come to a club angry looking to pick a fight? Yeah. You know comedians will say anything. That is what we do as people. We teach, we learn, we'll say the things that you want to say and are afraid to say because of cancel cultures or somebody will think that you're a racist or what have you. But it's not like that anymore. I'm telling you, it is bananas. I think the comedians are going to have to do what they have to do to protect themselves because self-preservation is the first law of nature.
Yeah.
And I hate it to be like that, but hey.
No, but I agree with you too because that was something that we said, like, I want to see comedy clubs because, you know, like when you go to a concert, typically there's like a security that stands right in front of the stage. I know it may increase their budget. John, our producer, actually mentioned that because it's a freest place for you. I don't think the responsibility falls on a comedian because y'all are there to do a job.
Well, now that's another one too now, Symphony.
Okay, what's that?
You have to read the room. I do Trump jokes all the time, and Dave's audience is like 60% Trump supporters.
Right.
So, but I don't attack Trump's politics.
Okay.
I talk about Trump, the man. I talk about Biden, the man.
Okay.
I talk about Nancy Pelosi, the lady. I don't talk about because then you get in trouble. So, you know, I hear comedians all the time say, "I'm not changing myself for nobody." Then you don't want to grow.
That's okay. So I was going to ask because that's been some of the pushback of like I shouldn't have to change my material.
It's not that you change your material; you change the delivery of your material for the audience that's in front of you. If I went on stage in an arena of 20,000 people and 15,000 of them are Trump supporters and talked about Trump's politics, they would boo the hell out of me. They would hate me. Mm-hmm. But me talking about that he liked to grab women by the coochie and I'm down to meet him, please introduce me to him. It's like, wow, you can make fun out of it, you know?
Yeah.
Me talking about Biden didn't forget the paperwork. Right. I mean, Biden didn't lose the paperwork, he forgot. Right. He had took one of them edibles from California, he forgot. So that is safe. And that is, it's funny as opposed to you going into, that's why I stay away from all the wars and all of that.
Exactly.
It's some things, religion, identity, and politics are 3 things that will get you for real canceled or murdered. So that's not for me.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next hot take. So something else that's been in the news we've also talked about on the show, and you've been a guest on this show as well, DJ Envy. Of course, I know you've been on The Breakfast Club a few times, gone viral, of course, but I feel like that's, no matter where you go, people love you, people love your honest takes on things, but right now what we're seeing with DJ Envy.
Yeah, I hate that for Envy. I like Envy's just he's really a nice guy. Yeah. I don't know him on the outside of The Breakfast Club personal level, you know what I mean? So. And we all go through things, and I'm sure I'm not going to say I'm sure what happened over there. I'm praying for Envy. I met his wife Gia. God, she's a lovely, lovely woman. He has a bunch of children, and I hope that gets fixed soon, and I hope the Envy is free and clear of that because Envy is a nice guy. Yeah,
and I've heard in the court documents it states that he's not involved in every single one, but also Caesar, who was his partner or whoever is linked to, he also recently came out and was like, "Hey, DJ Envy has nothing to do with it." And then, of course, like naming something.
Oh, girl, joke just jumped in my head.
Come on, let it out.
No. I'm thinking Caesar. You know what to do. That commissary gonna be fat. No, I don't personally believe that Envy did. I think he maybe he was naive in a situation. We all have been naive in a situation. Yeah. But Envy just don't give me that. I don't get that malice and greed from him.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
I've never had a full out conversation, but I did recently meet him because I met both of them. I've met Caesar and I've met DJ Envy, not like an in-depth conversation. Yeah. But the energies are just completely different. Obviously, I don't know the facts of it, but DJ Envy was more like kind and like very sociable to where we were, and then when I met Caesar, it just felt more like something just feels off.
I hate that the FBI got involved because, you know, once they start peeking through your blinds, good God.
Everything goes. Everything is going to be
and
open.
And I love that Charlamagne has been supportive and, you know, everybody else on the show. So I appreciate that. And I love that iHeart Media did not listen to that and jump ship and get rid of envy. Yeah. Because a lot, that happens more than, look at Lizzo. Look what happened to Lizzo. Yeah. The court of public opinion will never go away, but damn, this is America. Weren't we innocent before proven guilty? Not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope to fully, and definitely love to DJ Envy. We've talked about it on the show a couple times. Love you, Envy. Hopefully that pans out to be, you know, just goes away. Away. All right, last thing I want to talk about. So actually, I want to go back to you because I don't know if you saw Samson McCormick.
My boy, I love Samson.
I love Samson. Again, Samson and I have talked, but just like I have not met Samson in person yet, but I'm waiting for it, Samson.
So Samson is the most notable gay comedian for over 20 years public because he came out. Yeah. And, you know, he hasn't gotten his shot, but Samson gets backlash from the community just like me because he has an opinion.
And he sticks to it.
Exactly, and he sticks to it.
Yeah, he does not change. So here's what Samson said. He said, so proud of Flame Monroe, currently on tour with Dave Chappelle, and absolutely the first transgender comedian to perform at an arena in front of 20K people.
I am not a transgender comedian, Samson. I am a comedian that happens to be transgender. You always get that right because I'm telling you, I know that might sound crazy to some of y'all, but when I get booked at a club and they say transgender comedian, they stop as soon as they hear transgender. Right. When they say comedian that happens to be transgender, the gates are open. It's as simple as that. Yeah,
but seeing a comedian that just so happens to be transgender in front of an arena over 20K people, I know we lightly mentioned it earlier, but hearing that, especially coming from somebody like Samson that you love and adore, and I know you haven't sat with it, so let it sit.
Oh, I'm scared too.
Just a little bit.
I'm scared it's gonna be over.
But
that's why I haven't sat in it. It's so magnanimous that if I sit and think about it, I'll tear up and be like, wow, God, look how you blessed me. So I just look at it like it's a job. Yeah. And it is a job. I'm on tour with Dave, the GOAT, Dave Chappelle. Do you know what kind of comedians? Kevin Hart, Jerry Seinfeld would open for Dave Chappelle.
Absolutely. I can't think of a person that wouldn't.
There is not a comedian that would not be in a place. I am in a place of joy and acceptance and grandeur, and yes, I get the backlash. I get the backlash not only from the trans community saying I'm kissing Bud and he picked me because I'm a sellout and woo woo woo. I get the backlash from the comedians. Why Flame and woo woo woo? I should have been on. I've been in the game for 25 years. Yeah. I've never had any controversy about me trying to push up on none of these guys. I'm not one of them trans girls that think you're going to have me and I'm going to out you because your story ain't my story to tell. Plus, some of y'all done got fat and funny looking. I don't even want nobody to know I messed around with y'all back in the day. So that is where I'm at because I am so chill with everybody. I'm the uncle and that cool auntie. Yeah. And that's how I embrace it. It is overwhelming, Symphony. Yeah. And I'm telling you, because you have to get used to arenas. That first time I was mortified, and it's in the round, so I'm like, I feel like I'm cheating this side if I'm on talking to this side, and I'm cheating like this side. And you have to learn how to work it, and you have to lower your tone and realize that you command the room. And then I had to realize I didn't come to see them. They came to see Mother. And the audience have been absolutely fantastic. Yeah. The only audience that didn't understand me was them damn Mormons in Omaha, Nebraska. I think they still praying for me. I wore a dress that was so scandalous, and that's what I do. If you see the pictures, I always dress up glamorous. Because it's an all-male review, but I'm the only girl on the show. Yeah. So I want to look like the girl on the show. Absolutely. And those optics are everything. You know, I'm going to tell this story real quick. I met the baby in Charlotte, North Carolina. I had met him at Madison Square Garden with Dave, but he was at our show in Madison Square, at Dave's show that I'm a part of, because this is Dave's tour. And he was backstage, and I walked over, I said, aren't you the baby? He said, yeah. He said, oh, you were funny out there. I said, oh, thank you. He told me, I want to thank you for what you said on the Breakfast Club. I said, well, you weren't talking to me. Wow. See, I didn't take that personal because what you said, whoever was affected in that way, but you weren't talking to me. You can't take everything for everybody. Like even with the Just Hilarious stuff, she wasn't talking to me. She was talking to the person who said it. Yeah. And he was like, I appreciate that. I said, listen, I'm very grown. and you have said some things, but with Labusi, I met Labusi at the studio. I took a picture with him. The community had a meltdown. He was very pleasant to me. I treat you at face value. Because had Labusi got jiggy, oh, honey, when the wig is off, the game changed. Understand that. But he was a pleasant man to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not there to judge him, and he wasn't there to judge me. But the baby was so nice and so kind, and I wanted to take a picture with him, but then I thought about it. The optics would have showed that, because he was going to come on stage with Dave and I was going to get right in between the two of them and put my hands on both their shoulders.
Right.
But then I thought about where the world is at right now. I didn't even do it.
Yeah.
I got the picture, but I will never release it.
Yeah. And it's a shame because I do remember when that happened, and it seems like, I mean, he was at the height of his career, the baby, and then now it's just kind of, and you're seeing him rebuild back up, but that cancel culture just,
he was at face value at that day.
Yeah.
He was exceptionally pleasant to me.
And I think that's what matters. It's about how do I treat you in person? How am I as a human being?
Yeah.
And not in a.
And that is what's happening with our community. We send so many of the angry people to be representatives for us. We have to get nicer representatives, because if you come to the table like this, Symphony, put your hands on the table. We're going to look at each other and we're going to have a fair conversation. But if I come to the table, you like that, but I'm like this.
It's a completely different
energy.
It
is never, the energy is already off.
Yeah.
I'm not the spokesperson for the community. That's not my role. I'm a funny bitch. But the ones that y'all keep sending, somebody mad that they cut their penis off. I'm just going to say it publicly. You should have kept it.
I love it, Flame. Again, thank you for joining me.
Comedy Hype. I'm about to ruffle some feathers, but I'm used to it.
No, I love it. But before you go, I did want to end with that, because I do think you deserve, I know that you deserve your flowers. I know you have not sat in it yet, because not only are you on tour with Tiffany Haddish, Dave Chappelle, you have a podcast, Laugh and Learn podcast.
3 years in. Thank you, Black Effect Network. Thank you, Charlamagne the God.
I can go like on and on of all the things. Let's end with the podcast. How's that going?
My podcast is pretty great. I got a new co-host this year. Her name is Bobby Clifford. She's a very intelligent Irish-American woman. And we
happy belated birthday, Bobby.
Yes, and we come at it from different angles, but we come at it because if you remove all the titles, if you remove the color, if you remove I'm black and I'm rich or I'm gay or I'm trans, we're all Americans. And as soon as we can understand that we are all Americans and we got to love our country, I'm telling you, we're going to be in a better place. Yeah. So it is doing great. I just had a meeting with the president by Dolly Bishop in Charlotte last weekend, who came to the show. Thank you, Dolly. I met her lovely fiance. Y'all going to work on them babies. We might do a season 4. My podcast is Political Hodgepodge from an American's perspective. Yes, I am pro-trans because I am trans. I am pro-black because I am black. But I am not anti-anything.
Absolutely.
That don't make me anti-you just because you don't look like me. If it's fair, it's fair. And if it's right, it's right. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. And if it's wrong, I have a Mitch McConnell moment. But the podcast is going great. So we're doing good. Thank you for that 3 years. Thank you. That's what kept me afloat, because I got so many bookings were pulled from me.
Yeah.
I lost about $200,000 worth of work.
Wow.
But I'm getting it back.
I was about to say, it's definitely coming.
I'm getting it back.
It is definitely coming back. Again, thank you, Flame, for joining me today. And now I know how to pop my thing.
Let me see you pop your thing. Pop that thing. Hey! This is how you change the direction, ladies. When he talking crazy, dude, knock it off.
Okay.
Comedy Hype, I enjoy you. Thank you guys so much. You guys are so wonderful.
Well, you heard from us. Now we want it from you in the comments below. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.